In 1883, Andrew Pritchard discovered gold in the area of Murray, Idaho. This discovery caused a gold rush to Pritchard Creek during the fall and winter of 1883 and the spring of 1884. Prospectors would then spread out from these gold discoveries to discover more treasures in the area of North Idaho that would one day be called the Silver Valley. Prospectors staked their claims, and some rich discoveries grew into mining companies. One such prospector was Noah Kellogg. He bought a grub stake in Murray and headed south over the hills and ended up exploring the South Fork of the Coeur d'Alene River, and then he headed up Milo Creek, which led to his discovery of the Bunker Hill Mine. The Bunker Hill Mine was Idaho's largest employer during much of the 20th century. It operated from 1887 until its closure in 1981. Mining was good news and a triumph for the valley economy. Bunker Hill employed 2,700 workers at its peak and was known as Uncle Bunker because it took care of its people. The population in North Idaho grew from 7,000 people in 1880 to 25,000 in 1890. The population continued to grow through the middle of the next century. All of this progress also brought tragedy for the environment. With the growing population was the need for housing. Area trees were logged, houses sprang up, mines were shored up with some of the large timbers. Forest fires also burned down the trees. Smelters were built to melt down the ore that was mined and separate the minerals. The Bunker Hill Company built one such facility. The lead smelter for Bunker Hill was constructed in 1917. Sulfuric acid, zinc oxide, phosphate fertilizers, lead, arsenic, cadmium, and zinc are the main contaminants from the smelters. These gases from the smelting process, if released into the air, would cause air that was greatly polluted. Baghouses were constructed and used filters which all stack gases and particulates passed. Each section contained 400 wool bags measuring 30 feet long by 18 inches in diameter. Eventually, there were 7 sections with a total of 2,800 wool bags in place. Government emission standards became stricter, and a 715-foot-tall smelter chimney was constructed in 1977 in an attempt to filter more air contaminants. Despite all the efforts to prevent air pollution, the damage to the vegetation on the surrounding hillsides had already been done. The Bunker Hill Company smelter caused 80% of trees to become polluted in the Silver Valley. By the middle of the 1900s, the barren hillsides around Kellogg could hardly be kept a secret. The years of logging, forest fires, hillslides, erosion, and air pollution had taken a tragic toll. In 1973, the Bunker Hill Company hired Ed Pomeranian to help revegetate the barren hillsides and return them to their original state. Shortly after Pomeranian started his revegetation project at Bunker Hill, he realized he would need a greenhouse to provide the tree seedlings for his future planting efforts. After Bunker Hill Company officials took Pomeranian on a mine tour, he learned, among other things, that there were plants being grown underground by some of the hoistmen. He thought maybe the underground greenhouse might be the answer to his problem, because of the large number of seedlings needed for the revegetation of the Kellogg-Smelterville area. The underground greenhouse was developed in a ventilation drift of the Bunker Hill mine's upper workings above Bordner and operated there from 1975 to 1982. Because of the mass quantity of trees, mining tunnels were used as incubators and storage space. The Kellogg tunnels were used year-round to enhance the seedlings. The tunnels were a perfect source for warmth, humidity, and carbon dioxide. Specially designed lighting was brought in to supply infrared light and heat. Following together provided the success that was needed to grow millions of seedlings that stretched throughout Smelterville to Kellogg today. The selection of seeds, their planting, the soil to be used, and the fertilization techniques all had to be experimented with to learn the best way to develop a viable crop. Pomeranian and his nursery crew started out mixing their own planting soil composed of Canadian sphagnum with vermiculite. Sometimes they would add sand and also perlite. They experimented with up to 20 different soil mixtures before a good one came to the market. There were numerous other procedures the underground nursery staff learned involving how many seeds to put in a container, ideal fertilizing cycle, and watering techniques before they were successfully turning out hardy and acceptable seedlings, mostly of ponderosa pine and Douglas fir. He tried spring and fall plantings and found that fall was not the best time of year to be starting trees, as the bare roots didn't grow and were easily pulled up, so he went with the spring plantings. During the period of 1975 through 1982 and 1991 through 1993, youth throughout the Silver Valley could be found working hard planting trees in the steep, barren terrain of the Shoshone County.
In the summer, Ed Pomeranian was responsible for hiring 30 16 to 18-year-old youth to plant trees. Each person was responsible for planting 200 trees per day.
The closing of Bunker Hill's mining and smelting operations in 1981 dealt a devastating blow to Kellogg and all of North Idaho with a loss of 2,100 jobs and a $50 million annual payroll. The United States Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, moved into the area in 1985. Gulf Resources and Chemical Corporations, the last owners of Bunker Hill, were ordered by the EPA to pay for extensive environmental studies. Asarco, Hecla Mining Company, Sunshine Mining Company, and Coeur d'Alene Mines were also charged with the responsibility and costs of replacing contaminant dirt.
By the end of 1993, Pomeranian and his crew were responsible for planting 2.8 million trees amongst 5,000 acres. The hills throughout the Silver Valley that once looked like large dirt mounds have significantly changed. Today, there are many species that can be found in the green hills of Kellogg. Ponderosa pine, white pine, quaking aspen, ocean spray, ceanothus, snowberry, and grasses flourish throughout the reforested area. Pomeranian's biggest accomplishment was the survival rate of the trees. When he began the reforestation project, he hoped the survival rate of the trees would be 50%. What amazed him and others was 80 to 90% of the trees survived and are growing healthy today.
Driving along Interstate 90 through Kellogg today, the triumph of the revegetation project is evident by looking at the hillsides surrounding the town. The previously barren hillsides are now covered with the mature ponderosa pine and Douglas fir. These trees also help with the erosion problems on the hillside. Stacy Hoffman, who once planted hundreds of trees in her youth, now looks back over the hills of Kellogg with great pride, and she said it is an amazing feeling to see how the once dirt hills of Kellogg are now filled with beauty. The lovely green hillsides also contribute to the future of Kellogg, adding to the attractiveness of the area as tourism plays a larger role in the economy of the Silver Valley.